Our command paper presents a bill that is a standalone piece of legislation focused exclusively on domestic abuse. It's landmark in that it's the first time that we've had all offences that could relate to domestic abuse in one single piece of legislation. So there's one point of reference, so that makes it easier for those who need to handle the legislation and give it effect. But the important thing about this is that it's landmark in that we have a new definition for domestic abuse that has never existed before, but we will have it in this new proposed piece of legislation, as well as other protections that are found in this proposed law that don't exist. The objective of this is to make Gibraltar a safer place for victims of domestic abuse by having a more robust legislative framework to be able to protect them.
A consultation period ahead of the bill will now commence. However, there's been other consultation periods, such as on parental leave and parental alienation, that have yet to see any legislative changes despite consultation periods concluding. Will this be any different?
This is a different kind of consultation process because this is a command paper where a proposed bill that has been drafted is being presented. So we're asking people to consult on the body of this proposed legislation. Following the consultation, we will proceed to the bill stage where we will publish the bill as it is now, and we'll take into account any feedback that we may get on this document. We'll publish as a bill, and then once the period of the bill expires, then we will take it to Parliament. A command paper and a consultation process as a result of a command paper is different to the other consultation processes that you're referring to. The other consultation processes are discussions that we're having with the public with a view to gaining public opinion to see what other steps need to be taken in those particular respects that you raise. Insofar as those, a lot of consultation has been done both internally and externally, and we very much want to take it to the next level. It's something that I have explained has been delayed because of COVID. We have found ourselves in unprecedented times in Gibraltar, and sometimes some things need to take priority over others. It doesn't mean that consultation is not important to us. Of course it's important to us, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't have started it. And we're very, very keen to get everything back on track. This is a consultation process that we've been working on for a while. The other consultation processes, which are different kind of consultation processes, are also very much progressed in the work that we've done, and rest assured that we will bring those to fruition as soon as we can as well.
The UN reports a 6% increase globally over the last 12 months in sexual and physical violence against women, with calls to helplines increasing 5-fold in some of these countries. What's the prevalence like in Gibraltar? What are the figures of domestic abuse against both men and women?
We need to look at our general statistics, but we can also take a snapshot of the situation in Gibraltar in the last few months since lockdown. One of the things we did as part of our civil contingency arrangements was to make specific provision to protect potential victims of domestic abuse during lockdown, because we expected there to be a spike in complaints and in reports. So what we did was we had a specific team ready to be able to deal with the increased spike. We did notice that we had an increase in reports to the police in particular, but it wasn't as high as what we expected it to be. When we look at statistics of domestic abuse, we look at the statistics of people who actually report incidents of domestic abuse to the Royal Gibraltar Police. But in terms of us and forming our strategy, those are not the only statistics we consider. People may report, ask for help and report matters to social services, particularly if there are children and it becomes a child safeguarding issue. People may report or present to their doctors and ask for help, but not necessarily want to report it as a criminal offence. Insofar as our strategy, we want to encourage everybody to report offences of domestic abuse. Domestic abuse, domestic violence is an abhorrent crime, and our safeguards are in place, and all our teams are equipped to be able to deal with complaints, whether it's the police or whether it's any other agency that's a stakeholder organisation. everybody has received a lot of very comprehensive training to help deal with the situation. But certainly our message is, for anyone who finds themselves in a position of danger, we ask them to call the police number immediately. And the matter will be dealt with as a crime if the person finds themselves in danger. If it's not an issue of danger, then we can go down the other routes of dealing with the police and the police victim support teams, and their new team specifically set up to deal with victims of domestic support with domestic abuse have been set up to support everyone, but support is available all round. But we really need to encourage people to call it out and to report it and to call for help.
And will this training be rolled out to other frontline workers such as GPs and the casualty department?
What we're doing is we're organising a training plan, and each training plan will be bespoke to the organisation to whom we are delivering. The Safe Lives training, which we commissioned last year and was delivered to the Royal Gibraltar Police in September, also, as part of the training we commissioned, included a Train the Trainer programme. We have invested in local trainers to now deliver that training for us locally, and we already have a plan in place to deliver that to other first responders, and the next team that we are training will be the Gibraltar Ambulance Service as first responders, and the trainer will be a local trainer and will in fact be the GHA lead on domestic abuse. We are looking at other training programs to deliver to different sectors. For example, we've already looked at commissioning a different type of training for GPs as another kind of first-line responders, but we want to make sure that GPs are able to pick up messages if a patient doesn't tell them outright what the problem is. Again, this will be rolled out to A&E. As an example of our awareness campaign, we've made arrangements for every single GP surgery at the primary care centre to have one of our Ministry for Equality awareness posters against the wall, because some people who have suffered domestic abuse may go and see the doctor for treatment of the injury without telling them how the injury occurred, and we want them to feel confident that that doctor will be able to understand their situation, and we want people to be able to open up and report it and call it out, because we want to reassure them that the help is there and all our staff will be trained to support them properly.
And you mentioned the awareness campaign, the putting posters in the waiting rooms. What other things encompass the campaign?
Our current campaign that we've launched today include a new video that the Ministry for Equality, working closely with the Royal Gibraltar Police, and that will be released on our social media platforms today and will be aired on GBC as from today. In addition to that one, which is our new one from this year, specifically to mark this year's campaign, additional to that, we have the Ministry for Equality one that we made up, the one that we designed a couple of years ago, and you will see that we've extracted posters and images from that campaign, and as from today, to make it very visual, we have those posters on bus shelters. We've refreshed all our posters in key public sector areas, and you may have seen that those posters are also on the rear windscreen of 2 police patrol cars.
How will you monitor whether changes such as the legislation and the training is having a positive impact?
We are working on introducing a new system of collecting statistics. At the moment, the individual departments collect their own statistics, but we are working on a new system that will help us gather statistics, but will identify where the statistics overlap, because we may have people who report to the police but will not necessarily go to A&E, or we may have people who may go to the doctor but may not want to report it to the police. So we're looking to find a way where everybody's statistics will talk to each other, and that will give us a better overall picture of how we're doing.
And finally, someone watching this interview and going through domestic abuse at the moment, what would your message be to them?
My message would be, in the first instance, to report it and ask for help. Help will always be available. We have invested a lot in the last few years in training staff so that staff have the capacity to be able to deal with the situation. And it's not only about the individual organization. A lot of what our working group is about collaboration, and it's about multi-agency working, and it's about referrals from one agency to the other. So in terms of the plan, we have spent a long time putting together putting a plan in place to make sure that as much support as possible for victims to get out of an abusive relationship is there, because we want to break the cycle. Ultimately, our message is about support to the victims, support to the victim's family, helping the perpetrator as well, because helping break the cycle is also important. So what we have, and I think that what we've achieved after a lot of years of hard work, is a holistic approach to the way that we deal with domestic abuse in Gibraltar.
So what other training do you have planned?
Today we've launched another training initiative, and it's a training on the Freedom Programme. This is a therapeutic training which is aimed to support victims of domestic abuse and encourage them to get out of an abusive situation. Today we have launched this training. I would have liked for it to be a proper training conference. It's something that we planned in September last year. Because I met the training provider. We've been working with the Freedom Programme because through social services we introduced the Freedom Programme in Gibraltar a couple of years ago, and the objective of today is for everybody else to be introduced to the Freedom Programme. So today all heads of department and all heads of therapeutic services are undergoing the training, following which we'll come up with a holistic strategy and a holistic approach to delivering this training throughout. So the objective of this is, by the end of the training, everyone who delivers therapy in any way, shape or form will have undergone this training, and therefore we have a consistent approach in supporting victims going forward.